What's up, y'all? Cecil Shorts III here, your host for the Bleav in Texans, and welcome to Bleav in Texans podcast. It's an exciting time of year. 10 days away from the 2025 NFL draft. And what are the Texans going to do? It's mock draft season, y'all. Everywhere. Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, PFF, everybody has their own mock draft. And guess what? We're going to talk about a few of them today. And also, I'm going to give you a few of my favorite targets, running back and receiver, that can come in and make immediate impact for the Houston Texans if they decide to go with them in the draft. But let's first talk about my man Jalen Petrie. I think the Texans are doing a good job of taking care of their own guys, right? Jalen Petrie just signed a contract extension, 3 years, $39 million, 30 guaranteed. And I tell you what, when you look at what D'Amico and Nick are doing this offseason, they extended Daniil Hunter. They extended Derek Stingley and now Jalen Petrie. Three defensive guys really solidifying that defense, saying, hey, we want to be a serious contender on that defensive side of the ball, taking the ball away, getting sacks, the whole nine. But if you look at the Texans as a whole, they're doing a great job really drafting guys, developing guys, and then if they play well, they reward their guys. Look at Nico Collins. Drafted him, developed him. Huge year a couple years ago. Huge year, being able to have a huge impact 2 years ago, and then again this year. Still battled with some injuries, but still one of the top guys in the NFL. They reward him with a huge contract. But when you're able to reward the guy that you kind of homegrown, that is how you win. That is how you really develop your culture. Is how you develop who you have coming in. That's how you develop your guys and really pour into your young guys, saying, hey, if you do well, we're going to take care of you. Don't worry about nothing else. You do your job, you buy in, you listen to your coaches, and we're going to take care of you here. So I'm loving the point they're making of taking care of their own guys. I love to see it. D'Amico, I think I said in the media a couple of weeks ago, we want to really make a point and make a statement saying, hey, if you come here and work and we draft you and develop you, or you could be a free agent, but it says something different when you're drafted and kind of homegrown and really developed and worked, and now you're making plays in the NFL for this team. So really good job by D'Amico and Nick Caserio. But we got to talk draft, y'all. We got to talk NFL draft. It's mock season. So with that being said, we're going to look at one of the latest mock drafts, which is, let's look at PFF first, right? So early on in the first round, this particular mock draft has the Texans drafting Josh Simmons, who I love, by the way, Ohio State tackle in the first round, pick number 25. And then on the second round, they have them going after Utah State wide receiver, good player here, Jalen Royals. Now, let's talk about this. A few positions of need for the Houston Texans. They need offensive line. We understand that. They went out and got Cam Robinson. They went out and got Trent Brown after trading Laramie Tunsil. I think pretty sure that Titus Howard would be one side and then one of those guys would be the other, but you have to bring in more guys, right? In this particular mock draft, PFF has them drafting three offensive linemen. One in the seventh round, one in the third round, a guard from Georgia, and then we mentioned Josh Simmons from Ohio State at tackle. You have to address, whether it's guard, center, or tackle, you have to address his offensive line. Your main priority is to really protect CJ Stroud. Like, you have to protect him. And you got to protect him now. You can't wait on that. If you can protect him now, you'll be in great shape. So I understand why a lot of mock drafts, I think Mel Kiper has the Texans going with Josh Connerly Jr. from Oregon. Really good, big old left tackle from Oregon. Only gave up 2 sacks in his entire career at Oregon. Really sprouted up a lot of draft boards as a recent man. He should be a good compliment as well. But you have to go tackle. So I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad if you go tackle in the first round, even if you trade up a little bit to get a guy that you love. I'm not mad at that at all. You have to protect CJ Stroud. But at the same time, not only O-line you got to address, you got to address the receiver position. You don't have Tank Dell next year. You brought in Christian Kirk, but he's getting closer to 30. And me being a former receiver, I understand the closer you get to 30, the less likely they want to pay you after you get to 30, right? So they're going to bring a younger guy in. Is that first round? Is that second round? Third, fourth, whatever the case may be. They got to figure out backup running back. I love Dare, but he's not a guy that can come in and really be a first and second round back, or first and second down back if Joe Mixon is out or if Joe Mixon needs a break, right? You need somebody that can come in, make plays, do his job, can be run. I'm assuming Nick K's gonna like inside zone, right? Coming from St. Louis, I'm sorry, coming from LA with Sean McVay, also history with the Patriots, but I'm assuming he's gonna like some type of inside zone. Um, so a guy has to be patient in the backfield, really watch his blocks develop, be able to cut back and see the field and be exploding through the holes, right? Damian Pierce had an awesome first year, over 1,000 all-purpose yards. I think 900 of those were on the ground, 7 or 8 touchdowns his rookie year. And then the last 2 years, he's had 704 yards. So you need to find your backup running back. And Joe Mixon also is closing in on that 30, right? He's closing into that magical age of 30, which in the NFL, like I mentioned before, is a older age. Once you hit that age, they really like, all right, dude, we got to find somebody else. So, and then a sneaky position nobody's talking about. And if you notice, I'm going all offense here. I feel like defense is solidified. You got to get some more interior defense alignment for depth, maybe another corner or two for depth. But on defense, you're pretty solid. But the tight end position, that's something you need to watch. The tight end position, what are they going to do? Right? There could be some potential draft day trades. There could be some potential, movement going on. But I love this tight end class, and I would love to see them grab a tight end. But we're gonna focus on two guys today. I just say two positions today, right? Two positions. One is wide receiver because I'm a former wideout, got to catch the ball, right? And then number two would be running back. So, looking at the first round, and even early second round, if you wanted to trade up, if he happens to fall, I think Luther Burden the third would be a dynamic player in the Houston Texans offense. And let me tell you why. He reminds me of what did they say? He's 6 feet, about 206. I think he ran what, 4.41 at the combine, meaning he's rolling, right? He can be a threat inside, he can be a threat outside. His run after catch ability is phenomenal. Phenomenal. The thing about him, 75% of his catches in his career have been inside of 10 yards. And shout out to Pro Football Focus for that stat. But 75% of his catches have been inside of 10 yards, meaning he's catching the ball, making guys miss, breaking tackles. He's as tough as nails. He can go up and make the tough catch. He's an impressive guy. That last year, his sophomore year, had 1,500 yards receiving, and then we saw a decline this year with inconsistent quarterback play, only had just under 700 yards receiving. But I don't care about none of that. To me, he's a first-round guy. If he falls to the second, you need to go up there and get him. He can fit well in this offense. You got Nico on one side, Christian Kirk in the slot in the middle, and then you got Luther Burden, the speedster. He can run routes. He can get open, tough after the catch guy. He can be somebody dynamic to help CJ Stroud in this offense and complement this team well. I'm assuming here, but I think Nick Caley wants some tough guys. I think he wants a guy that can block. I think he wants a guy that can run after the catch. And I think you get this when it comes with Luther Burden, right? Luther Burden is more of a type of a Debo kind of build. He can be a slot receiver and catching the tough passes inside, or he can be outside and running by you. He can do all of the above. And the only reason I think he's sliding on draft boards is because his production went down. And if you look at the offense as a whole and what they were doing, they were just struggling at Missouri. They were ranked high in the beginning of the year, and as the year went on, injuries and inconsistent quarterback play just went downhill. And that affects as a receiver more than anybody because a receiver can't do anything if the ball's not coming his way in an accurate place, right? So Luther Burden is somebody I would love to see in that 25-ish range. Maybe I'll be surprised if he falls way in the second round, but in that 25 range, I would love to see Luther Burden. Again, you need tackle, and we'll talk about tackle next episode. We'll talk about tight end next episode, but you need a playmaker besides Nico Collins. So I would love to see Luther Burden the third get some reps there, get some opportunity with the Houston Texans. Now, somebody I think that will fall, a running back. Now, I wouldn't say fall, but he'll be in the range of second and third round. In the second round, you have a pick 59, I believe the Texans have. And then in the third round, you have pick 79. So I think Dylan Sampson, running back from Tennessee, 5'8", about 190, 200. He'll be in that range, the second and third round range, where you'll have your plethora of backs, right? I think Caleb Johnson may be around, who I love from Iowa. Amarion Hampton and Ashton Genty will be gone. on. But you look at a Caleb Johnson, Dylan Sampson, these two guys I really enjoy, especially Dylan Sampson. I think he complements Joe Mixon well. When we look at what Tennessee does, they run a lot of inside zone. And he is so patient and explosive. He finds the hole, he finds the seam, wait for his blocks to set up, boom, comes backside and hits that hole exceptionally well. But I think he's awesome. He can be a 3-down back. He can catch out the backfield. Only 39 catches this year, or 39 catches for the last couple years. He has not gotten a ton of catches, but he's more than capable of catching the ball and making plays. He's actually a better pass blocker than Caleb Johnson as well, so he can come in and protect at times if need be. But he is a playmaker waiting to happen. And we talked about this a little bit in the beginning of the show. You need to have a solid number 2 back that can come in and spell Joe Mixon at any time. Because when you have it, let's just talk about it. When you don't have a Saquon Barkley, when you don't have a Derrick Henry, you need a 2-back system. That's just what it is. That's today's football, and there's nothing wrong with that. And Joe Mixon is extremely productive, but it probably will give Joe Mixon a longer lifespan in the NFL if he had a running mate that can come in and spell him at different times, right? That can come in and be dynamic and make plays as well as Joe Mixon continue to do what Joe Mixon does. So Dylan Sampson, I think, is somebody in the second or third round could really, really complement Joe Mixon's offense well. He operates with tempo. He has a decent size to him. He's at 5'8", 5'9", kind of smaller size, around 190-ish, 200, somewhere in there. But he had 1,400 yards last year, 22 touchdowns. I think he had 11 consecutive games where he had a rushing touchdown, and he played his best football. He played his best football against the best opponents all year long. He stepped up to the plate no matter how bright the lights were, and I love seeing that. And you got to remember, too, think about Nick Caserio and how he goes about things. He loves SEC guys. He loves SEC guys. I mean, just think about the guys he's drafted and brought in, from Stingley to Christian Harris. You can go on and on and on. There's so many guys from the SEC he wants to bring in. Kamari Lassiter, that he wants to bring in because he loves the competition. He loves the way those guys are competing not only on the field with the best against the best every day, but also in practice going against the best every single day. It's hard to go out there and say this guy's not prepared for the next level when he's going against next level guys every single day in practice and on the field. So those two guys really stand out to me. Luther Burden, I think you can get him in the 25 range, which is where the Texans had their first round pick. But also, I think Dylan Sampson, another impact player. He can come in, be an impact right away. And there is no surprise. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Damian Pierce went 4th round, was an impact his rookie year. You can find impact running backs in that 2nd to 4th round, but the name that comes to me for running backs is Dylan Sampson. I think he's a great fit for what this offense could potentially be trying to do. Right. And again, I got to assume a little bit, just looking at Nick Caley never called plays before in the NFL, but looking at his last stop with the LA Rams, what Sean McVay liked to do, what he liked to did, or excuse me, I was right, what he liked to do with the Rams, with that wide zone, inside zone, outside zone, play action off of that, motions, shifts. I would expect to see some type of that resemblance here with the Houston Texans. That's why I also think Luther Burden is a good fit, because he can do really well in the motions. He can do really well with the blocking, with the inserts. Insert meaning you're coming in motion and you're inserting between the linemen to go up and get a safety, right? Not blocking linebackers, but in between the linemen to go get a safety, or you're motioning down to go block a safety, or motioning down to go block a corner, or the biggest threat coming your way. So. And he's the guy that is thicker. He's 6 feet 206, man. So I love Luther Burden III, and I love me some Dylan Sampson. Now I'm gonna say this: I have a potential draft day trade that I think makes sense, especially if the Texans draft a running back in, say, rounds 2 through 4, right? Because of again, you can find a starting running back in rounds 2 through 4, right? You can find a contributor, no doubt about it, in rounds 2 through 4. But you look at the depth of the running back position right now with the Houston Texans, you need to draft, need some help. So I would not be surprised if Dameon Pierce And I hate to say it because I love the guy. I think it's fun to be around. I think his rookie year was really fun to watch. And the last 2 years kind of struggled with injuries and playing time. And then Joe Mixon came and all this stuff. So it's not a knock on him, but it's sometimes a fresh start for you is your best start. Sometimes a fresh start and a reset is the best thing for a running back or any player in the league, right? But I think they find a spot for Dameon Pierce to go. I think they find a spot for Dameon Pierce to go. I think they trade him on draft day, maybe day two, day three, and they find somewhere for him to go respectively. And they roll with Dylan Sampson or one of these younger backs and Darway as well to help Joe Mixon in that run game. I think that's very realistic, and I think that could happen. So don't be surprised with that. Do not be surprised with that. It's so many good running backs in this draft. So I wouldn't be surprised if Dameon Pierce gets traded outside, or sorry, gets traded during the draft at some point in time. So that'll be it for today, y'all. We're coming back Thursday with another episode talking NFL draft. Again, we're only 10 days away from the NFL draft. What would the Houston Texans do? They got it. We know they got to address the offensive line. They got to address wide receiver. They got to bring another running back. They got to bring tight end. They got to get some depth on that interior defensive line and secondary as well. What will they do? We will see in 10 days. On Thursday's episode, we're going to break down offensive line and tight end. Who do I like in the draft from the offensive line position and the tight end that will fit well with what the Houston Texans do, and that will be around we think will be around in certain rounds, right? Who will still be there for the picking in different rounds throughout the time. And when should they draft a tight end? When should they draft offensive linemen? How many offensive linemen should they draft? A lot of things to talk about, y'all. It's mock draft season. Bleav in Texans. Please like and subscribe on all platforms. And this is Cecil Shorts III, your host. Until next time, go Texans.